Thank you for joining in. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. How's everybody doing? Good evening. It is 21 of September. It is the 4:15 over here in West Coast time. As was talking to a few colleagues, one of them it's a journalist from Venezuela. Her name is Laura de la Rosa. She is a really recognized internationalist, and also she is a great journalist in Mexico. She's from Venezuela, and she has been studying the jihadist and Islamic attacks on Christians. This is a full reality. It's not a lie. It is not creating Islamophobia, or it's not creating hysteria, or it is not against a particular entity or population. This is a reality. We're seeing this in I just came back from a war, came back from Israel, seeing the brutal attacks by Hezbollah into Israel territory. It was a reality. Hezbollah has been attacking relentlessly to the north of Galilee. I was in the border of Lebanon. I was in Jish. I was in Malkia and Kiryat Shimon. I was all over the place over to the next to the borders of Lebanon. And today you're seeing how Hezbollah continues to attack. This is something that a lot of people are not seeing. There's a mass migration of people from Africa. You don't know who is infiltrated on this mass migration of people from Africa. You don't know these kind of individuals from these kind of particular entities. They're coming infiltrated into the United States of America. This is why a filtered border, it is so needed. Even a DNA testing to children, it is extremely needed for the enormous trafficking of children that is continuously happening in the borders of the United States of America. It's a complete attack against Christians. It's not only in Africa, as in Europe. You're seeing this, the burning of churches in France continuously. It's I don't know how much Christians are going to take it, or how much Christians, and let me say it, we are going to take it. It is this relentless. It is a relentless attack by these radicals and these in Africa, these jihadists. Practically, it is what it is. I'm not even lying about it. It's the reality. And I will go one by one. This is in Nigeria. This was a post. Let me just go back. I paused the video. I don't know why I didn't pause. This is in Nigeria. This 81 people dead due to a jihadist attack in Nigeria. This is in Nigeria. 81 people dead, 81 Christians, the majority Christians. And I will put the statistics of how many Christians have been dying and being attacked, ultimately in Africa. And we're seeing this not only with people in Africa. We saw this in the Darien Gap. We saw a migrant from China escaping the Communist Political Party of China, escaping Xi Jinping, because this migrant from China was telling us that Xi Jinping is trying to make Christianity and trying to make the religion a part of the state. And they're persecuting the pastors, and they're persecuting people who believe in Jesus. How crazy is that? So this is the first one that I'm going to go. And it's 81 people dead due to a jihadist attack in Nigeria. Before I go, buy me a coffee. It is right there. People, I'm continuously working, bringing you guys information. We're trying to travel soon, so your help is much needed. Please contribute to our travels. So it's 81 people dead in an attack, in a jihadist attack in Nigeria. And let's go to the article. The article says at least 80 dead after a suspected Boko Haram attack in Nigeria. About 150 suspected jihadists on motorcycles reportedly opened fire in Jove state of Sunday. Says the article goes by, because at least 80 people have died and several are missing after an attack by suspected Boko Haram jihadists in Nigeria, north of eastern of Jobo state. Local officials have reported, it said, around 150 suspected Boko Haram terrorists armed with rifles and RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades, attacked a Mafia guard on more than 50 motorcycles around 4 p.m. on Sunday, said Abdul Karim Dunjus, a Jove State police spokesman, according to agents from France police. They killed many people and burned many shops and houses. This is a terrorist attack by a jihadist group in Nigeria. At least 80 people. I'm going with the first one. It's just crazy how they are, and I will choose this word. They're killing Christians in Africa. They're actually doing that. Let me just show you the next article in the next news. This is Nigeria. Then we go to the next one that is in Bangladesh. Persecution towards Christians. As all these articles were released by, gosh, man, all these articles were released by the Freedom Post. This is a platform, a website, which it is on every platform you can see it, and it's from a friend of mine. She is the actual writer, and she has several writers, Laura de la Rosa. She's Venezuelan journalist. So this is in Bangladesh. A persecution against Christians has skyrocketed, and they're marking their houses with crosses in Bangladesh. So the article, just for people to understand, the article says, let me find the article right here. It's Ground News, and it says right here, Muslim extremists with swords terrorize Christians and marking houses with crosses in Bangladesh. How crazy is this? This is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. It says, a persecution watchdog is warning of recent events in Bangladesh that are reportedly already putting Christians and other members of minority religions in grave danger. About a month ago, after several weeks of really bloody protests and bloody crackdown on protests by the government of Bangladesh was overthrown and was essentially a military coup. This was 10 days ago. So it's crazy how they're persecuting Christians in Nigeria and now in Bangladesh. It's absolutely nuts. Now, if you go to the next one, this is the next one. This is in Bangladesh. Then you go to Burkina Faso. That we have seen a lot of these migrants coming in from Burkina Faso in the Darien Gap. We have seen a lot of these migrants coming in from Burkina Faso. A lot of them, they escape these terrorist groups. And a lot of them, you don't know. You don't know who's coming in. You don't know who's coming out. You don't know if there's a lot of infiltrated individuals like this from these terrorist organizations, jihadist organizations, coming in, infiltrated, and coming in into the United States or to whatever country in Mexico or Central and South America. We don't know. But a lot of them, they're escaping these groups because of the persecution. So the article also says Burkina Faso, 26 Christians decapitated in an Islamic massacre that has been going on in churches in Burkina Faso. It's crazy. This is the article right here. You're going to see it. Just go right here. This is the article. And it says Burkina Faso, 100 Christians have been killed in 3 months. You have to be kidding me. 100 Christians killed in 3 months in Burkina Faso. And the article says, Islamist extremists have massacred around 100 Christians and kidnapped many more in Burkina Faso in attacks since May. The last atrocity took place on Sunday, 25th of August, when insurgents captured 26 people, including Christians in Sanava, western Burkina Faso, and took them into a church where they murder them by cutting their throats. Insurgents surrounded Sanava and headed the villages together. All non-Muslim men over the age of 12 were separated out being killed. This is Burkina Faso. Aggravating what is happening over there. Then you go to the next one, and I'm just going one by one. This is terrible. This is terrible. This is in Congo. In Congo, ISIS just killed 80 Christians and decapitated their victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Democratic Republic of Congo. Democracy, like all these Democrats say. So ISIS kills 80 Christians and decapitates their victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. You go to the article. And just for these leftists that, they're protecting this situation. The article says, horrifying, ISIS kills 80 Christians, decapitating victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. ISIS claimed, like Hezbollah has claimed all the attacks recently into northern Galilee, ISIS claimed responsibility for recent attacks in the Democratic Republic of Congo that resulted in the death of more than 80 Christians and the closure of several churches in the nation. The Islamic terrorist group said through a post on their Telegram channel, more than 60 Christians were killed, including a Congolese army officer in an attack by the Caliphate soldiers in eastern Congo. It was at least a series of attacks where jihadists with the ISIS-affiliated allied democratic forces launched coordinated assaults in north of Kivu province. Whew. All these attacks. It's crazy. And then you go to the next one. I will translate all these articles that were released by the Freedom Post. You can go and see the Freedom Post. It's an outlet. It's an outlet of news. It's a webpage of news by my friend Laura de la Rosa, a Venezuelan journalist established in Mexico. Then you go to the next one, and it's just explaining why these attacks and all the gangs, political gangs, and all this. It says Nigeria, the jihad of the small source, the least of sources of media of communication. They talk about more than 16,000 Christians have been assassinated in Nigeria in 2019 to 2023. More than 16,000 Christians have been assassinated in Nigeria between the year 2019 and 2023. Then you go to the next explanation. It says between the year 2019 and 2023, more than 16,000 Christians were assassinated in Nigeria, according to an informative report by the Observatory of Liberty of Religion of Africa, publicated a little bit more than a year in the 29th of August of 2023. Then you go to the other explanation, which it gets getting better and better. It says out of the 55,910 deaths documented in Nigeria, 30,880 were civil deaths. 16,769 were Christians, converting that group into the most affected group of attacks. It's just crazy. 16,000 people. 769 Christians have been brutally assassinated by these radical jihadist groups. And then when I have walked the Darien Gap multiple times, we have talked to people from Congo, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, all these places, and all of them, they're saying this. They're saying that they're escaping this. How do we know that this is actually a legitimate person that is actually escaping this? We don't know, right? But the reality is that there's a problem. 16,769 Christians have been brutally assassinated, and a lot of them decapitated. Sorry about the graphics, explanation, but a lot of them decapitated by these radical jihadists. But you have the left and the progressive mercenary activist liberal in the United States of America defending these radical jihadist groups, defending Hamas, defending Hezbollah, which Hezbollah right now, my God, they're attacking consistently the north of Galilee. They're attacking brutally. I was just there like 3-4 weeks ago. Brutally. It's brutal, the attacks. Let's go to the next report, which explains a little bit of the gangs. Somebody saying, is Oscar talking about this year? Yeah, a lot of this information is this year, and it's just days ago. If you're just joining in, you can go back to the video when I finish, and you can see the statistics. Now, which are the groups of these massive massacres which have been happening Nigeria, Congo, Burkina Faso? The responsible groups of these attacks include the radical Muslim groups, Fulani, Boko Haram, and the Islamic State of Africa, Occidental Africa, of the Occident, ISWAP. These are the groups who have been considered to be radically assassinating Christians. And this document that it was released, according to the government, it criticized the government of Nigeria for their inaction to protect the civil people, indicating that Nigeria maintains the country as one of the dangerous countries for the community of the Christian community, leaving millions of people defenseless against religious violence. Now, you have all these inactivity. This is why a lot of the mass migration, it is occurring from Africa into the European country, but also ultimately it has open borders. That's the number one thing. But when you have this kind of, it's kind of all the entities that they're coming in. When you're talking about the migration from Haiti, a lot of these people from Haiti, they're saying, oh, the disaster from the earthquake, the disaster from this. Yes, that was a lot of years ago. But a lot of the migrants from Haiti that they're coming up into the north, they have been living in Chile for a lot of years. They have been living in Brazil for a lot of years. They have been living in all these places around South America. And this is why they know how to speak Spanish real well. And a lot of them, their children, they have been raised upon, these South American countries. Inclusively, they use these bonus cards in Chile. We had a special, intelligence agent in an interview. They use these special community IDs. They give them bonuses for their food, and they have saved that money to use it to transport and to move out. So, you see a lot of this mass migration of Africans into Europe, and you have seen how a lot of the places have been radicalized, like France. You have a large community of people from Africa that they're Muslim, that have taken over several streets and several communities, taken over, like explaining, like the vast majority lives among these communities, or among these, colonias, like we say in Spanish. So it says on the top, it says Nina Shia qualifies these numbers of assassinations and kidnappings as impactful, and considers completely denigrating the passiveness of the government of Nigeria against this violence against the religion of Christians. On the other hand, on the year 2024, they had counted several massacres this year alone. In the year 2024, they have counted several massacres in Nigeria and also in Burkina Faso, in Congo. The Freedom Post has reported this. You could go to their website, freedompost.com. And it says, according to the informative report of the militia Fulani, Boko Haram, and the Islamic State of Occidental Africa, they are looking forward to eradicate the presence of Christians through assassinations and forcibly converting them to Islam or expelling them from their Christian land. What's happening in Israel? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's different. That's a two-state and, Palestine. What's actually happening? What's the actual goal? Let me just close right here. What's the actual goal of Hamas and Hezbollah? What's the actual goal of Hamas and Hezbollah? Is it to protect? Is it a resilience group like these leftists say? Is it a militia against the oppression of the imperialists and the Zionists? What is the purpose of Hamas and Hezbollah? If you have a ceasefire in Israel, will Hamas and Hezbollah cease fire? Now, if this over here in Africa, you will control these radical groups, these progressive radical jihadist groups, will they stop? Or their whole purpose is to eliminate the kafir, like they say, the non-believer. What is their whole purpose and their whole game? This right here. These radical jihadist groups in Nigeria, in Africa, the Fulani, the Boko, the Haram, and the Islamic State of Occidental Africa, they have communicated in a statement that their whole purpose is to eradicate the Christian presence through what? Through just telling them go? No, it says right here, through assassinations, forcing them to convert, like it was back in the day when Islam was founded. You convert by the sword, and if you don't, you will die. Or expelling them and removing them from their land. Unbelievable that, these kind of situations are happening. There's so many wars going on in the world, and a lot of people are saying World War III is going to happen. It is already on. We don't even know that it's going on. It's already a spiritual war. It's already an information warfare. We're already in a nuclear war. We're already in a virus world. We're already in a religion war. We're already in a property war. There's a lot of wars going on. People don't intend to understand that you don't have to be physically combating somebody one-on-one to be at a war. We don't have to. It's already happening. It's the reality. Just recently, there were more attacks by Hezbollah into the Israeli territory today. A lot of you guys have seen in social media and in mainstream media the situation through the beepers and all these kind of devices that they have been exploding in Lebanon. We were in Jordan, and ultimately we were close to the borders of Lebanon, and possibly now the activity has escalated like you don't even imagine. Informative reports have said that now Israel is possibly planning to go in now. If we have talked to a lot of the people in Northern Galilee about, the simultation of just saying ceasefire. A lot of the people in Northern Galilee told us there's no way we are going to cease fire. The only way that we're going to cease fire is that Hezbollah is being pushed 40 kilometers from the border. That's the only way. They even residents from Israel, Northern Galilee, they have said we can cease fire in Gaza, we can cease fire in Yemen, we can cease fire in other places, but in the north of Galilee, we're not going to cease fire. Hezbollah, it is attacking our kibbutz, it's attacking consistently our cities, and they're consistently sending missiles, drones, and rockets. I was in Kiryat Shemona when I was in a radio interview, and my colleague and mentor, Chuck Holton, was doing a live feed for his platform. And 4 alarms immediately came in. And we saw the missiles on top of us being dismantled by the Iron Dome. It's constant. This is normal. This is normal. We went to the community of Jish. You can hear the explosions. You can hear detonations. We went behind, in Malkia, talked to the IDF, officers and the soldiers, young kids, and all these IDF soldiers, they want peace. If you talk to them, you ask them, you want to go home? And that was my number one question, because I was talking to a lot of them. I was talking to them. And I was telling them, hey, do you want to go home? Or do you really want to, be here and be part of this and be radical about this? And all of them, they said, like, no, man, we want to go home. Like, I want to go home, man. I want to go back to my life. I want to just go back to my normal life. So I have asked a lot of them, a lot of these IDF soldiers, what do you think is the solution? And they say peace. We love our Palestinian, neighbors. But Hamas and Hezbollah say no. The West doesn't understand. They don't live over here. They don't understand. They just go by what the political propaganda, and that's why they're protesting in Harvard and Stanford and Yale and LA, all these liberal universities, which they are teaching your kids Marxism, leftist, progressive liberalism against Christianity, against God's values. All these nonsense, political, radical progressive groups like Latinx and the LGBTQ whatever plus. That it's okay, all these radical groups, to be installed and to be basically, in your day-to-day life. We talked to a lot of these IDF soldiers, and a lot of them, they told us completely the opposite. We want to go home. And the nerve-wracking to be close to Lebanon is really it's nerve-wracking to be there. But it's just the situation right here that I'm putting right here on screen. This situation in Africa. I'm gonna go by the video. Let me just go by the video. I will translate the video real quick. And I have put, several websites and several articles for people to understand that this is a reality. Go by the first one. Nigeria, 81 people dead in a jihadist attack. Nigeria. Then you go Bangladesh. Persecution of Christians has skyrocketed. They are marking their houses with crosses. Burkina Faso, 26 Christians decapitated in an Islamic massacre in churches. Congo, ISIS kills 80 Christians and decapitates victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Nigeria, more than 16,000 Christians have been assassinated between 2019 and 2023. More than 16,000 Christians have been assassinated between the year 2019 and 2023, and the total death toll in Nigeria is 55,910 documented, which 16,969 are Christians. The terrorist groups who they responsibly take these attacks are Fulani, Boko Haram, and the Islamic State of Africa, Occidental ISWAP. All of this is happening right now. This is why you have, man, it's a lot of the people say, well, a lot of it has to do with, the economy in Africa, the growing of population in Africa, not having enough jobs, resources to, continue with the population. It's one of them, but a lot of them that has to do with this, the continuous Islamic and jihadist attacks to these communities. And the like the article says, these radical groups have, particularly published that what they want to do at the end, their end game, what they want to do is right here. According to the informative report, the militia of the Fulani, Boko Haram, and the Islamic State of Africa Occidental, what they're looking forward to do is to eradicate the presence of Christians through assassinations, through forcing converting them, and to expelling them or removing them from their Christian property and land. This is not Islamophobia. Whoever thinks that this is Islamophobia is the most incompetent, incoherent individual. These are people from radical jihadist groups making it public that they are trying to eradicate and eliminate Christians. And the only way to do that is to critically assassinating them, converting them, forcing them to convert to Islam, or basically like they used to be, die by the sword, or the expulsion of being expelled out of their land. Shush. Incredible. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. God bless everybody that is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Buy me a coffee. It is right there. Pin in the chat. I will greatly appreciate your donation and your contribution to our page. You can go to the link right there. Buy me a coffee. It's on the bottom. It's pinned in the chat on YouTube. And it's pinned on the chat on Facebook. Click on the link. And then it will give you the options of how many coffees you can donate. You can go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to whatever coffees you want. Every proceeds that come into this platform of Buy Me a Coffee will go to my traveling fund as we're trying to travel, and also it goes to my continuing to continue to report as an independent reporter. It's difficult and it's hard. We don't have a sponsor, so we depend clearly on our audience. Thank you so much for joining in. I will read your comments. We are 33 minutes with 38 seconds into the live feed. I will read your comments in this live feed. I will have several live feeds talking about, in the next incoming days, we're going to have an informative report of a specific NGO that operates in Tijuana, that I have been attacked by this NGO. And we're going to talk about this NGO and, the journalists that they're behind this NGO and the radical writers, progressive writers that they're behind this NGO. One of them put my life in danger in Tijuana, making false accusations and ultimately putting the life of my family and my life in danger. Basically, this radical progressive writer wanted to get me killed. That's what she wanted. God forbid, didn't happen. And everything backfired. But we're going to expose this NGO as how much money they're receiving from their tax return. It's unbelievable. These NGOs that they're receiving federal grants, like from Chuck Schumer, and a lot of these leftist Congress Democratic people, they're receiving millions of dollars from the American taxpayer to continue with this, mass migration through a humanitarian permit that is basically the global compact on migration. And they hate that I talk about this because you don't know anything else by this. You operate because of this, you dumbass. I'm sorry about the word. I apologize for my language. You operate because of this. If it wasn't for this, you will not have a job. But when you see their tax return, whew, millions of dollars. These are the same people that they used to tell every day on camera, we don't have money for even an extra pair of shoes. Look at my phone, it's all cracked. I don't have money for my phone. These same agencies are the ones that they're crossing them and they're leaving them stranded. A lot of this migrants that they cross, the majority they don't go back to court and they do not follow up with their cases because the whole point is just to make money out of them crossing them into the United States, not following the process to legalize them or documenting them into the United States of America. Yes, you're helping them cross, but what are you doing with it? And you're making millions out of this. Millions, not thousands. You're making millions. And then you're trying to bribe authorities over here in Mexico, in Tijuana, because you have a lot of money now. Now with money, you think you have power. So you try to bribe people now over here, pay out authorities, incentivize your hate, division, and also your fear to shelters. It's unbelievable. But you're making, and these are American citizens operating in Tijuana, making millions of dollars and using our country as a jumping pedestal for them to make millions out of the federal grants out of the United States of America. They need a little push that they need a federal grant. And they have several interns, lawyers that they get paid like $40,000 a year. How in the hell you get money? But yeah, they say we are just giving legal advice. Whew. Horrible. You see the tax return of Catholic charities? How much money they're making? Where are the kids, though? Where are the kids? This is why they don't want no DNA testing. We're protecting the human rights of the kids. The human right of the kid starts when it gets trafficked or when it gets abused walking unaccompanied with a lot of adults. That he's not supposed to be walking with adults. We don't know their past. We don't know what they have gone through. That's why you have a border and you secure that child from him walking and putting himself in danger from another border and another border and another border. It's just so logical. It's not academia. These people do not have the experience that we have walked Darien, documented Central and South America in caravans. These people only have the experience of crossing people on a document and on a claim on a border. And they feel like they own this. That's their experience. They only know the last tip of the iceberg problem. They don't know where to initiate it. They don't even know how they suffer. They know how they suffer because they ask in an interview how it's been. Oh my God. Yeah, oh my God. Don't worry. We're going to cross you. Yeah, we'll get you immediately over there. When they get them immediately over there, it's like, oh, you just go on with your life. It's the whole end game is to make money out of people crossing them, and these people become undocumented. And when they become undocumented, you created an undocumented economy. That is one of the biggest economies in the United States of America. The ghost tax, the illegal economy, the I will pay you under the table kind of economy. This is, when they talk about a mass deportation, when they talk about this, it's the bad people. The bad people, just recently 158 Democrats voted against the bill that it will deport sex offenders and people that they commit rape, that they're illegal immigrants in the United States of America. How is this possible? That this is not a possibility. And they say because we are protecting their lives from they being punished in their native land because of the crime that they had committed. I'm sorry. That's why you do the crime, you pay the time. When you commit a crime, you go to prison and you learn your lesson. And the consequences sometimes are bad. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. There's no protection over these individuals, man. Now the Democrats are protecting people that they commit rape and sex offenses. So now you will have people arriving into the United States of America thinking, if I commit a sex offense or if I commit rape, I'm not going to be deported. I'm just possibly going to be put in prison. We don't know. Oh my God, that's false information. Let's fact check this guy. He's such a disinforming, creating hysteria, fearmonger, and a white supremacist and an extremist. He's such a xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pronoumphobic, fatphobic, racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, and a white supremacist and a betrayer to his own people. Isn't it right? Yeah. Your arguments are way gone. You're done. Millions of dollars in your tax return. Bad. Fake marriages, all this kind of stuff. We stopped doing it. We stopped doing it. What the hell's going? Remember these lawyers when I was in part of a chaparral and one of them came in, an American, telling a Mexican to stop recording. Who in the hell are you, man? But okay. And came in like, can you stop recording? Like, who are you from the United States? Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm from here. I'm from Tijuana. You cannot tell me what to do. It's like, oh, okay, but I'm from this organization. Oh, yeah, the one that makes fake marriages. Oh, that was not a fake marriage. And it was a ceremony. We stopped doing it on tape. And we stopped doing it. Wow. So how many years you have been doing it? It's because you got caught. So you stopped doing it. Shush. Way to go. We stopped doing it. How many marriage licenses have you fixed, man? How many ceremonies? Let me just paraphrase myself. How many ceremonies have you done? Ridiculous. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Let me just read your comments right here. Lydia says, asylum needs to be proven. Cubans had to prove why they are fleeing Cuba. You say it's not responsible for other countries. Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. It is because of the United States and their open border policies that you have a disaster of a border, and this is happening in Central and South America. And it is not the responsibility of other countries to fix this disaster for Biden. They don't have the enough infrastructure and money to do it, although they have been trying. Guatemala has tried to fix it. Panama has tried to give the most humanitarian help as possible with small budget, small countries trying to make it. Biden has created the most disastrous border policies in history. So where's the responsibility on him? With you saying, and I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, when you say the United States is not responsible for other countries, when you create these kind of policies, who's the responsible one? It's the government of the United States. It's not the American citizen. It's the government who makes these decisions of opening up the border, being part of globalist compacts, incentivizing people to come, NGOs making millions out of this, incentivizing people that they're going to be processed and help and immediately enter the United States. So where's the responsibility on that? I'm just being honest. And thank you for your comment, Lydia. Thank you. Uh let's go with another comment. There is also an increase of gang activity in Texas. Tren de Aragua are targeting Texas next. Spouses murdering one another. Dark Times is there. Uh, Unbelievable. Yes, it's escalating. You know, we explained this in 2021. We did a full report in a caravan where we were the first ones that we were calling the TDA Tren de Aragua that is coming infiltrated in a caravan. We did it through our network. And then it got expanded all over the place. But I was walking in that caravan with migrants, the same migrants that were telling me Tren de Aragua gang is being infiltrated in this caravan. Imagine if I just discovered that, how many years it has been like that. Let me go to my somebody anonymous bought me a coffee. Thank you for the reporting, Oscar. First live. Thank you so much. God bless you. Justin Aker. Oh my God. Thank you so much. 5 coffees. Buy me a coffee's right there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and thank you. Uh let's say right here, Lydia again. News reports are always mentioning Latinos to keep you from realizing Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, and other migrants who chant death to America. Uh, mm, okay. Today we have open borders. In the past, we didn't have open borders. Yes, you had. I'm sorry, but you had. If you're talking about which pass, Lydia, which pass are you talking about? Which pass are you talking about? Because if we go to the pass, the worst president in American history is Barack Obama, and he was the one that brought the global compact on migration into the West Hemisphere. So this disaster of globalist migration started in the Barack Obama administration. That is when the reality of majority of these massive caravans started arriving. So, which pass are you talking about? Because in the past, it has been happening, and illegal migration has always been happening through your borders. It's it's not basically you can build a wall as high as if you want, as large as you want. But if you continue to be part of the global compact on migration and let the United Nations control your borders, this is going to inevitably continue. I have said multiple times before, what it needs to be done is get immigration policies that they're more humanitarian and ultimately safer and legal. First and foremost, get out of the global compact on migration. Get out. Get out of the global compact on migration. First and foremost. Second of all, when you get out of the global compact on migration, when you get out, you will, uh, cut the funding to the United Nations and cut the power of the United Nations and OIM and the UNHCR to have power over your borders. Because right now, the Border Patrol does not have the power to detain or stop or process. What they do is they only transport and they process in a way through the DHS or NGO, which they later on they release the people. So you cut the funding, you get out of the global compact on migration, you cut the funding of these NGOs. When you cut the funding of the NGOs, these large federal grants out of the American taxpayer that you're spending billions of dollars of this, a lot of people do not know, but you have spent more billions of dollars on the border than Ukraine. If you guys go to your statistics, you will see that a lot of the money that has been spent in the border, it is amazingly more than what you have spent in Ukraine. And look at your border; it's a complete disaster. So where all this money is going to is to these federal grants, to these NGOs. So you cut the NGOs. When you do that, cut the federal grants. You pick the NGO, which you believe that is a legitimate NGO, which is doing legitimate things and is legitimately working to legitimately help. But you create a task force to audit all of these NGOs and to know where the money is going, where the kids are going, where the people are going, how they're being processed. You start auditing these NGOs. And then after you start auditing these NGOs, the ones that they have committed crimes and they are in cahoots with the organized crime in Mexico, you prosecute these people for crimes against humanity. Because this is what they have done. Those are crimes against humanity. This is not right-wing extremism. This is controlling and saving lives. Then you secure the border. Absolutely. First and foremost. But this is what you need to do. This global compact on migration has declared a lot of catastrophe, has completely collapsed borders. Look what is happening right now in Spain, in Ceuta, where a mass migration of people from Morocco, they're arriving illicitly and entering illegally into the country of Spain in Ceuta. There has been a great aggravated problem. In France, look at what's happening. In the UK, look what's happening. In America, look what's happening. You have an aggravated problem, and this is created by design by the UN. It is nothing that is not fabricated or it was not completely designed. It was completely designed to collapse the border and to ultimately create this chaos to have control. United Nations is the one that controls the borders. Let me tell you, hypothetical example. There was an audience commentator right here who was saying before we was not before it was we didn't have this problem. Before you had this problem, not as aggravating as you have it now, but before you had this problem. Let me just tell you something that is a reality. Before you had a crime that it used to be called illegal entry into the United States of America. And then if you cross and you got caught crossing again illegally, it was called illegal re-entry. So when you got processed, you will serve time in the federal prison because it was a federal crime. Now, uh, it's ultimately a huge problem. It's a humongous problem because now crossing illegally, it is not a crime. And then you have the ideology, what the left in the United States of America has created, that is, no human is illegal. So you implement this language into this new generation of people that are coming in and crossing through non-ports of entry. And then you have the term illegal being removed to irregular. So now when you're crossing, the Border Patrol says, hey, stop there. You just crossed illegally. No, I'm crossing irregularly and I'm asking for asylum. You cannot violate my human right of asking for asylum because of this international global compact of migration. This is what it is. Clearly, it's it's the Border Patrol has not the power anymore to detain or stop. Now you have the NGO, which thoroughly process all these people, and then later on they get released. That's one of the uh, incredible things about this. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. There's a lot of instigating comments about like Mexico should take care of their own people and la la this, la, la. I don't know what does that have to do with the United States of America. Right now the current government of the United States creating this crisis. It's the government of Biden and Kamala Harris who created this immigration crisis and a disaster in Central and South America. The collateral damage that they have caused to Central and South America is irreparable. Biden Harris administration and also Mayorkas, the damage that they have caused, the collateral damage that they have caused to Central and South America is irreparable. And I can tell you one of the places that I have visited, it's a Darien Gap. Walked there 4 times. The environmental disaster that this mass migration has caused with decomposed bodies and enormous tons of trash, it's irreparable. It was one of the most, it's called the Little Amazon. How important this pentacle of land of jungle was for whole Latin America. And now the majority is completely trash. And I have walked that since from Colombia to Panama, and from Panama, the whole Panamanian jungle. And it's completely just tons and tons and tons of trash. I have documented that. It's on every video. It's enormous tons of trash. And these people are going to the United States of America, incentivized by the open border policies of the Democrats, of the current administration of the United States of America, the Biden Harris Mayorkas administration, which represents the United States of America, sadly. And the collateral damage has been irreparable. Of course, when you're seeing that you see a massive amount of people coming in and, uh, you see a lot of corruption, you see a lot of money making, the cartel starts growing, incentivized, and grows to 200 to 300% in Mexico. So you have the cartel growing massively because of these open border policies, because they're making more money now, right? As I have said multiple times before, sadly, the United States of America is the number one buyer of fentanyl, the number one buyer of cocaine, the number one distributor of fentanyl into their schools, into communities. And this is the problem that the current administration and the United States government knows about these cartel that is operating inside of your country, but they don't intend to stop the distribution inside of your country. How is this not your responsibility? By saying that this is not your responsibility is the most incompetent, incoherent, and I'm sorry, the most dumb thing to say when the current government of the United States of America knows about these cartels operating inside of the United States and distributing narcotics into your communities, into your schools, that are incentivized by an open border policy by the current administration. How do you combat this? Stop the distribution? Back in the day, Barack Obama created the most disastrous policy that it was Fast and the Furious, that created the biggest war in Mexico with the cartels. It failed. And it is documented with statistics and stats that, a lot of the artillery that is profoundly, being documented and ultimately also, being bought is by the cartel this artillery coming from the United States, smuggled across. The currency that the cartel sustains itself, it is the dollar. It is not the peso. It is not the euro. It is not the crypto. It is the dollar. So you know that you have a problem when you have a buyer and a seller. It is really easy. It's really easy to just it's logic. It's just logical. When you have a seller and the seller does not have a buyer, that product, it is not going to be sold. That product that is not going to coexist because it's not going to have distribution whatsoever. And it is going to go broke. And ultimately, we have this problem with the letter organizations in the United States of America. Let's say it like it is. The letter organizations in the United States are a huge problem of this distribution of fentanyl, distribution of cocaine, distribution of all these narcotics, trafficking, open borders, mafias operating, still letting them operate. When you know that you have a big problem inside of your country, but you're not stopping the distribution to your schools. A lot of the people are saying, they're talking about, you know, and people say, oh, this is the problem of the Mexican government that is getting rich out of the cartels. And yes, they're corrupt, but how different? And let me just say this. What about your letter organizations? And let me just say, how corrupt, how far away from different are your politicians right now, as different, as corrupt as the Mexican politicians in your borders? How different it is? How much of a difference it is? Ridiculous. So ridiculous. Do you think that Veronica Escobar in the part of Juarez with El Paso, she doesn't know, the congressman from El Paso, she doesn't know of the enormous trafficking of fentanyl and the enormous trafficking of humans and children that is happening through that area? Do you know that Gavin Newsom does not know? The liberals from New Mexico, the leftists from Texas in the part of Del Rio and the part of all these people, they don't know. How far away are they corruptibly different from the Mexican politicians? It's a reality. It's a bipartisan problem. But it starts by eradicating and eliminating these groups, these terrorist groups like the cartels. Yes, we have to. We wish that, we will not have this problem in Mexico. Believe me, we wish that we will not have this problem. It's a sad problem of our reality, of our communities, and of our societies. It's like, what do you have now in, in the United States of America? The enemy, it is by within, it's not by outside. Abraham Lincoln said that. And it's a reality. You have a problem with the enemy inside of your country, and it is in your Congress, and it is in your Senate, and it is all these people passing these policies. All these people agreeing to pass these policies. You have an aggravated problem with distribution of fentanyl into the United States of America. This is the aggravated thing about this. It's so easy to point the finger. The problem is another country, but the actual genocide that is happening, that nobody's talking about this. It is a genocide that is occurring inside of the United States of America. You know which one is that? Fentanyl. Do you know how much lives are lost due to fentanyl? That's the actual genocide that Americans are not even looking at. And a lot of people know where fentanyl, you know, uh, was made. Everybody knows about that it was made in China. and they're actually using the cartels as mules to purposely cross it and to ultimately contaminate the youth of the United States of America and the population of the United States of America. So you have the distribution inside. So somebody knows that they're allowing this. It is purposely done to create another drug that is more deadlier, another drug that is more deadlier. And the number one buyer all the time, it is the United States. How in the hell is this possible? God. Why your letter organizations, they don't know about the enormous distribution that is happening into your country, about the most deadliest drug that is going to take away a lot of lives, and why this is not being stopped. It is purposely done. In my eyes, from my optic, from my perspective, from my side, from my bench. And when you say I'm aware, but you don't actually analyze that the problem is also inside, you're totally unaware. Totally unaware. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Thank you for your contributions and donations. God bless every single one of you. Buy me a coffee. It is right there for people to want to, contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund. We're going to be traveling soon, so it's much appreciated, everything that you guys are contributing to our platform. And I want to say thank you to all. Last time I read and this is this was sad today to report this, right? We were reporting this today. Let's just read another one before we move forward. Let's just read this right here. I'm gonna put it on the screen before I go. This is because we have this problem that we just reported on what is happening in Africa, that there are terrorist jihadists are assassinating Christians. So before I go, I would like to read this Psalm 2. And I will read it for you guys before I go, for you guys to have a great evening today on a Saturday. It says, New International Version. Psalm 2 says, why do nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their chains and throw off their shackles. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. He rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. Kiss his son, or he will angry, and your way will lead to your destruction. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge on him. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. God bless you all. There's people that they're instigating with comments. I have responded. I'm giving away. It's too much of my time. To it's not a time to fight. It's a time to realize that we have a problem. And this problem needs to be fixed together. This is not about, only one country. It's about all fixing this problem together. This is what it is. And these people that they do this kind of stuff, they don't understand it. Uh, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ talked about, always, all the time, helping each other. Um, this is a time that we educate each other, we help each other, and for these people that sometimes they come in and they instigate the comment, um, go to platforms where you feel pandered and you feel that you can be pandered with your own agenda and your own. Go ahead. It's nobody's stopping you. It's easy to just judge by the color, but not judge by our experience that we have lived, walked, crossed, put our lives in danger to inform to every single one of you outside in this world. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. Stay safe. We will be reporting tomorrow on several, topics that we have. From early in the morning tomorrow, Sunday, I will be recording. I will record this and put it on X, put it on all platforms on as Instagram. Also start, putting a lot of reports that we have put on our website. Go and follow Oscar L Blue News. That is our website. You can actually see a lot of the pages and a lot of the articles that we have been putting out, from all types of news around the globe. So go over there and follow our website. Stay safe. And like we always say, oh, before I go, buy me a coffee is right there. Click on the link, people, and donate and contribute to our independent reporting and travel fund. Thank you. Uh, Follow us on all social media, Oscar L. Blue on Facebook, Oscar L. Blue Ramirez on YouTube, X, and Instagram, and Oscar El Blue Reportero on TikTok. Stay safe. And like we always say, God's plan, it is our mission.